So where am I? Well, let's talk about that. Howdy everybody. Well, I guess a few of you probably know where I'm at. You may be able to see the SS Selma in the background. Concrete ship, which is now a concrete island, I guess you could say. I'm sure a lot of you remember the discussions that we were having back in 2021 when we first found out that the Battleship Texas was going to dry dock and then find a new home. Well, back in, I believe, February of 2021, I had read an article that said the Battleship Texas would be going to Pier 21 in Galveston, Texas. Now, I have always stuck with that estimate because that was the original thing I saw. Although, as you know, through the years, there have been multiple locations suggested as to where she may be going. Beaumont, Baytown, Pier 21, Corpus Christi, many other locations. Some even said outside the state of Texas, which we know we're going to scuttle her before we let her leave the state of Texas. I did have one fella from Las Vegas sent me a comment. He said, just let me know where she's at. I'll bring my trailer down here and I'll haul her to Las Vegas. Well, the ship is quite a thing to see, but I'd really love to see that trailer. So with all the estimations of where she may be going, we are at one of the locations that a lot of people would like to see her go. Right now, me, my root beer, are currently located at the Galveston Naval Museum, aka Seawolf Park. And I am here to tell you why she cannot go here. Now everybody load up on some root beer. Now, as we know, Beaumont and Baytown were both cut out of the running early on, back in probably early 22. Corpus Christi was never really a viable location because the other ship there and the Battleship Texas would have to compete for funds. So she was really never going to head towards Corpus Christi, in spite of the fact that many people want her there. All right, the problems with Seawolf Park. The water around Seawolf Park is very shallow, and I mean very shallow. Now the ship channel does hit quickly and goes fairly deep. We'll take a look at a depth map here in a few minutes and you'll see how shallow the water is. But to put the ship here would take millions upon millions of dollars in the cost of dredging, building bulkheads, anchoring her down. Plus, she would actually be on the wrong side of the island, as she would be on the south side, which would open her up to future hurricanes. She really needs to be on the north side of a landmass to protect her from hurricanes and other storms that may blow through from time to time. Here at Seawolf Park, she would have to be on the south side of the island, which is no good. It would expose her to hurricanes and tidal surges.
Which is no muy bien.
No muy bien. No mas, no bueno, no good, no bueno pa caca. So let's take a quick walk around the park and we'll take a look at the entire circumference of the park and you will see why she cannot come here. I suppose with enough money you can do anything, but the money it would cost to bring the Battleship Texas to Seawolf Park would be better spent on the ship itself. Plus, if you brought her here, if you made everything perfect and brought her here, it would not be long before she would be silted in and would not be able to move to dry dock again without another millions upon millions of dollars being spent just to get her out. So she's not coming here. Let's take a walk around and find out why. All right, so let's take our little run around the circumference of the park here. Now I have sped up sections of this because there are long sections that are nothing but concrete and granite rock. But let's talk about the depth of the water right here. This is on the northern side of the island, but this applies all the way around the entire circumference of the park. There's granite rock all the way around, and the water depth is anywhere from 1 to 6 feet, all the way out to 50 yards. That would have to be dredged out to get the Battleship Texas in there. And as we've discussed before, millions upon millions of dollars would be spent doing that. And not only is that sand, that is granite rock. Now, I don't know how far out the granite rock goes, but there are areas where you can see it about 20 or 30 feet from the shore protruding up out of the water. So I'm sure it goes pretty far out there. Now, here we're approaching the USS Kabbalah and the USS Stewart. These displays are not in the water, as I'm sure you know. They are static displays above ground or in the ground. Now, the problem with that, with the Battleship Texas, from what I've read and seen, is that the upper decks are so heavily armored that they need the water pressure on the hull to support the weight of the upper decks. Without the water pressure on the hull, in a number of years, the upper decks would collapse in on the lower decks. Now, I'm not an engineer. I'm just telling you I've read that. Now, at this location, both of these ships constantly have to deal with tidal surges from hurricanes. As a matter of fact, Hurricane Ike actually lifted the Stewart up out of her display and laid her on her side. How they got her back upright, I don't know. Watermarks, or maybe sand marks, can be seen on the Kavala as well. Now, I don't know that she floated up out of her berth, but she possibly did. Maybe somebody out there can tell us. But if she did, it looks like she settled back down where she's supposed to be, unlike the Stewart. Now, both of these vessels are on the western side of the island, which exposes them to hurricane tidal surges and strong winds. They are not protected, as the Battleship Texas would be on the other side of the channel, which would be the north side of Galveston Island. So let's talk about the reasons the Battleship Texas Foundation says that Seawolf Park is not a good location. If you go to their Facebook page and search, you'll find this. The question is, why is Seawolf Park an unsuitable location for the Battleship Texas? Here's their answers, and there's several reasons. Seawolf Park, while a historic and storied visitor attraction for the Galveston area, presents several drawbacks for the Battleship Texas, namely, their number one reason. I don't know if it's their number one reason, but it's the first one listed. The infrastructure cost of dredging, putting in bulkheads, parking facilities, monopiles, etc., far exceeds those of the south side of the channel. This is absolutely correct. The south side of the channel is already deep water. No dredging is necessary, and there's already infrastructure over there. Now, whether there's enough parking or not depends on how much visitation the ship would receive. But there is a lot of parking over there. And I have seen that Galveston Island is planning on building another parking garage in that general area. Their number two reason. From a safety standpoint, it is far more exposed to the weather and hurricane type dangers than the south side of the channel. South side of the channel would be the north side of Galveston Island. And this is absolutely a fact. Number three reason. There are legal issues as the Seawolf Park site is controlled in part by the Port of Houston, meaning its consent would be needed. So that is a definite issue. Getting those approvals can take years. And their number four reason. Current wastewater capabilities at the park would not be able to accommodate the visitors to the ship. Uh, that depends on the amount of visitors to the ship, I guess. Although Seawolf Park currently has mostly porta potties. And while porta potties are fine for the 50 to 100 fishermen that go out there daily, especially on a weekend, it is not sufficient for large crowds of people. This is a typical wind speed for Galveston Island. A lot of times it's higher than that. Right now, we are on the southern side of Seawolf Park Island. The waves are rough, not ridiculously rough, and really nothing for a battleship. However, year after year after year of this is going to be rough on her moorings, however that's set up. The other side of the channel where she would be going if she was going to Pier 21 right now is perfectly smooth water because it's protected from the wind by the island. You can see from all the water splashing here that those waves are hitting up against the bulkhead pretty good. Now, if you put the battleship between those waves and this bulkhead, well, then the ship is going to be taking those waves. And while the ship can certainly take it, how long could the moorings take it? How many years? And how much maintenance would have to be put into those moorings? Not to mention, look to the left of this video. That is where the ship channel comes in and heads up to Houston. That's wide open. There's nothing blocking hurricane winds, tidal surges, or anything else that wants to come through that opening from affecting the battleship. Look at the water splashing there. And this is just a typical day. It's not a heavy day. Actually, during Hurricane Harvey, this entire island was covered with water. Look at the granite rock right there. Those things are everywhere under the water and stretch out probably 25 to 50 yards away from the island before it starts dropping off to the channel. In a few minutes here, we'll take a look. Oh, look, we got a pelican coming in. Where's he going? We'll follow that rascal till he lights down somewhere. They come over and scrounge from the fishermen all the time. And he is going to keep himself a high perch, looking down on everybody, waiting for somebody to throw him a piece of a fish, shrimp, something. Let's see if he's still there. Yeah. He's just keeping himself a high perch, looking around, waiting for an opportunity. But, like I was about to say before we are attacked by a man-eating pelican, in a few minutes we'll take a look at a water depth gauge all the way around the island. And you will see that the water depth is way, way too shallow for the Texas or any other large ship or most small ships. It's just too shallow. Too much money would be involved. Now here we've got a man that's gotten a hold of something. Let's see what he caught. There's never any telling in salt water what you're going to pull up. Now, I'm not a fisherman, so I'm not going to call what kind of fish this is. Somebody in the comments can let me know what kind of fish it is. Unless it's a shark. I know what a shark is. It's a big one. I know they catch a lot of reds off this island. I don't know if that's what that is. Somebody tell us what it is, because like I say, I'm not a fisherman and I don't know. What I do know is it's a big one. There was another man-eating pelican got out of our way. Now this fishing pier is usually cram-packed full of people, both sides all the way down to the cross section, both sides all the way around. Now this is the north side of the island. Look how much calmer the water is. This is a huge reason that the ship cannot go on the south side of the island. But it's a good demonstration to show you what the water is like on the north side of Galveston Island itself, across the ship channel where the ship originally was intended to be. Now this is a Google Earth image of Seawolf Park. You can see the USS Cavallo and USS Stewart down in the lower section of the photo there. And let's go over to a water depth gauge. Anything that's dark blue is 10 feet or less. To get to deep water, you got to get to that light water. That is the ship channel, and you can see that it is a good 50 yards away from Seawolf Park in all directions, meaning dredging would be necessary, meaning millions of dollars. And that's just simply not going to happen. Nor should it, because that money should be spent on the ship itself if it were available. That kind of money is not even available, no matter where it would be spent. Across the channel, we'll find Pier 21, the original supposed resting home of the Battleship Texas. Now, the green area is a public area, a little grassy park type area where we usually fly drones from. Over to the right of that, you can see Katie's Seafood House, who is one of the many restaurants that complained about the Battleship Texas coming to Pier 21. Now, right there at the water's edge, it's 9 feet deep, but you don't have to go out very far until you get to almost 30 feet and then beyond 30 feet. This would be the perfect place for the Battleship Texas. It's on the north side of Galveston Island, protected from hurricane winds. Not so much tidal surges. However, the way they had the ship moored up before, she was able to go up and down with tidal surges. Using the same method again, she would be fine here when it came to tidal surges. Winds would be the only concern. And like I say, the island's going to block off a large part of the winds. So my money is still going on Pier 21. Now I guess I'm going to have to stretch it from Pier 10 to Pier 21. But anywhere else in Galveston is going to be a financial and logistical nightmare to try to get going. This spot is the perfect spot. One of these areas will be the new home of the Battleship Texas, somewhere between Pier 10 and Pier 21. Here's hoping an agreement can be made soon, and the announcement made soon after. Thanks very much for stopping by and giving me a little bit of your time. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. See you guys next time. Well, as they say, folks, that is a wrap.